What's poppin', y'all? You ever seen somebody that's just minding their own business and then they just get a ton of strays thrown at them? Because that's exactly what happened to Polo G of all people. Now, I was just scrolling through Twitter the other day, and this all started with Polo G streaming and then having Blackboy Max not even take him seriously when he made some comments about potentially wanting to be a Clover boy, pull up to the streamer, not awards, a streamer university, which is supposed to be coming in February. Is that going to be, or was it? Yeah, it was February or March last year. Is that going to be happening? Is that going to be the comeback for Kai Snap? That would be a fire comeback. But I'm going to play you guys that clip of Blackboy Max reacting to that situation.
If they got another streamer university coming up, I'll probably come to that shit so I can get some game for. I ain't gonna lie. Probably hit on my boy Cassie if he could manage me. I could be like a Clove.
Nah, this nigga fried. He's dead trolling. He's trolling.
Clove or what? Part of AMP. I ain't gonna lie.
He's trolling. He's laughing. He's trolling. He's trapping. He literally started laughing. He's trolling, man. Streamer U 2026. Y'all want to go to Streamer U? Should we apply? Be a professor or something? Huh. Ice Spice was spotted on Brooklyn Nets.
So here, Polo G was not clearly actually. He was joking around, but he's been friends with Kai Cenat, or at least on cordial terms for quite a while. He's collaborated with him a bunch. Like I said, he's collaborated with people like Zeus in the past too. But this tweet really rubbed me the wrong way, partially because of the amount of engagement it got and positive engagement in terms of supporting it, which there was this original tweet that said, "What's the biggest fall off ever?" And then this person quote tweeted it and said, "This MF Polo G dropped a 40-song album and absolutely no one was moved." Crying emoji. And it was Hood Poet Black Heart Edition. Now, Hood Poet was an album that was dropped in 2024. Hood Poet Black Edition was I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why he was streaming, because he was dropping the deluxe for Hood Poet. So it's probably just a bunch of songs that didn't make it on the original album that dropped in 2024. Now, the brutal part is not only the fact that this has 47,000 likes and almost 5 million views, but this person replied and said, "Grok, bring the disappointment and tell us how many first week sales this album has." And Grok really just put salt on the wound, saying, Polo G's Hood Poet Black Heart Edition reportedly sold under 10K units in the first week, with projections in the 2 to 7K range. It misses the Billboard 200 entirely, the first of his projects not to chart. Oof. The fact that Grok had to add oof, that's just a little bit too brutal. And I responded and I said the following: "I understand why rappers want to stream now. Imagine releasing 40 plus songs and tens of thousands of people are laughing without even listening to it. The effort it takes to make music isn't even appreciated anymore." Now, number one, the fact that this sold with 40 tracks, it did less than 10K first week, that is dangerous. That is something that Polo G should be concerned about. Very, very concerned about. Now, the last time I remember a 40-track project being released was Heartbreak on a Full Moon by Chris Brown. And I remember people were clowning it, saying he quote-unquote only sold 100K because he had 40 tracks on it. And then one of the few people to really come out and support the album, having not only bought it, because he frequently buys his album, but listening to it, because a lot of people were just saying, "I'm not listening to 40 tracks of Chris Brown." Yeah, me personally, I'm listening to 60 tracks of Chris Brown, okay? You cannot listen. You can choose not to listen to it. Maybe listen to somebody else, all right? How about that? I was about to say maybe listen to Daniel Caesar, but that would be a good option too. I can't hate on Daniel Caesar either. So that album ended up being great. It ended up streaming great. Is it one of my favorite Chris Brown albums? I don't know. It's one of the albums that I go back to a lot of the music on. Now, usually I'll listen to an album from top to bottom if I go back to it. For example, if I'm going back to Pablo, I'm probably running that top to bottom. It's a little bit difficult because I feel like Pablo's an encapsulation of all of the sounds of Ye pre-Pablo and whatever he was working on at the time. So there's a lack of cohesion in the sound of the project, which isn't a negative. It's just that it makes it less likely for me to listen to the whole thing top to bottom frequently, as opposed to a Yeezus or an 808s, which I can easily run top to bottom. But when it's 40 tracks, I'm not listening to 40 tracks 3 months, 6 months, 3 years after I've heard the project. But with Polo G, the reason why I kind of feel bad for artists about this is because think about as an artist, and we have to think about Polo G specifically, and I can't believe I'm defending Polo G when this guy's just, he hasn't been disrespectful to me, but he's just, the only time this guy's ever talked to me is based on some negative I had to say about him, which was a valid criticism, and not all the other times. But anyway, with Polo G, you guys got to remember when the Iced Coffee Hour podcast, Adam 22 went on there, and he was talking about how No Jumper at the time was doing $1 million a month. This was between Snapchat, between Facebook, between YouTube. It was booming at the time. And Polo G, immediately after that, he posted, he's like, yo, we got to start getting paid to show up to these platforms. These guys are doing $1 million a month. I mean, that $1 million a month statement, it really caused a ripple, because not only would No Jumper do a lot less, and this was strictly No Jumper, would do a lot less following that. Adam 22 would pull the whole, oh, we're broke, guys. We're going to get rid of this studio space, not even a studio space, warehouse, which they still have the warehouse. I don't know what the deal with that is, but they were for sure making less money after when you made that video. Otherwise, they wouldn't have. But with even the disbelief in an academics, for instance, that was saying $1 million a month, like that's how you know Adam was killing it, because he was trying to, academics, who is Adam 22's rival. It's funny when academics calls Adam 22 his mans. That is not your mans. Like, please stop capping. That's your coworker. Yeah, that's your peer. Man, honestly, he might even be, depending on how drunk he is, and if it's not on stream, he might feel insulted if you called Adam 22 his peer. But that is somebody in your field, right? Like an acquaintance. Let's call it what it is. But when he was trying to say like, nah, the half of that is from OF, right? So Polo G was seeing streamers or YouTubers, in this case Adam 22 and Vlad included, but they patched things up, making this much money. And he's like, yo, every time I leave the crib, for example, he had to go to New York, he caught a gun charge, which, what's up with that gun charge? I mean, we saw Lil Zay Osama beat a switch, which is crazy. But Polo G, I think they found a gun in his hotel, but he's always got to be concerned with his safety when going other places. He's like, I got to get security to show up, to get money for a show, which I know that show money cannot be hitting, especially with how this project came out, and no hits that came out of it, unfortunately, that is. And then he starts talking about it like, yo, we got to start getting paid. It's a little bit of jealousy, envy, which is fine. There's always a grass is greener on the other side mentality. Every field thinks that the other person has benefits and it's nicer over there. But Polo G's mindset has clearly been on the side of, man, I work so hard to put this music together. And this is part of what I was getting at in my tweet, because let's just talk about the nightmare and hellish process it is to get 40 songs released as a Polo G, which is someone that already has a name. Keep in mind, even as a regular artist, making and putting out 40 songs is a lot, because you got to buy 40 beats off rip. You have to be good enough at music to put together 40 songs, and that takes a long time to do. And then with a Polo G, for instance, your team has to constantly negotiate on, yo, how much do you guys want for this beat, and then maybe sample clearances, and this is going back and forth because they're like, oh, Polo G wants the beat, it's not just a regular random rapper. Okay, oh, we're gonna see about that. So now they're doing that whole discussion back and forth, and as a rapper or musician, all you really want to do is make the music and drop the music, and then there's all of these other complicated things that you have to go through in between, and the effort it takes to make 40 final songs that you're comfortable with releasing on a project. And you're a Polo G, so Polo G's not just phoning it in, right? Like, maybe he's punching in or whatever, but he's not, we don't know him to drop low effort music, like let's say a Net Spend, for instance. And by low effort, you guys know what I mean. It's not hard to record. So you put all that together, and the person doesn't say it's whack. The person doesn't say, I didn't really like this track, or, like, I think it went on for too long. It should have been 25 tracks max. No, none of that. You don't get criticism on it. You get criticized for, you get dismissed for it not being heard by the majority of people. And for the person that made the tweet to probably have not even bothered listening to it either, but he knew it dropped because he went and looked it up to make a tweet about it. And this is where I'm like, dog, I feel so bad for these artists, because making music is hard, and then you're getting paid pennies. Because let's take a look at for another clip, because Polo G's probably seeing this too. This dude Ronaldo, he was showing his income from streaming, and he made like 60K in a week or something like that, which is a lot less than he would have made in December, because there's budgets, marketing budgets. It's end of year. They want to spend their whole budget. So, and it's Q4. So like, yeah, Black Friday, all that other stuff, Christmas. So October, mainly November, December, they will spend a lot of money on ads. So people on Twitch will be eating. January, it's like, hey, everybody's just getting back into the office. We're going to figure out what's going to happen. Spending doesn't pick back up until maybe March to April or so. So Ronaldo's like, yo, I'm only making 60K this week. Meanwhile, in December, I was making 200K a week. So if I'm Polo G looking at that, it's like this guy's making 200K or was making 200K a week, not having to leave his crib. Now, this Ronaldo guy puts a lot of effort into his content, I will say. Like this he's doing the most. Well, not in terms of production cost, like a Mr. Beast, for example, or an Aiden Ross, we'll say production cost. Because Aiden Ross, every time this guy's leaving, he's got a truck or a Sprinter van. He's got a private jet. He damn near has a chef on call. And he's got his security. So he's paying a lot of money every time he's moving around for every stream that he's doing. But most other streamers, it doesn't really cost that much. And then in one stream, let's say this guy for him to make 60K, let's say 10 bands, or a little bit under 10 bands per stream. Dog, to make 10 bands off of a song, you know how many times that thing has to stream? And then for it to be able to stream that much, do you know how much marketing you have to put behind the song for it to stream that much? So if you're a musician, you're looking at this like, damn. And this is Polo G, somebody that can continue to perform multiple hits that he's had, not at the same rate that he was getting at their peak, but there's always this pressure now of like, yo, when's your next hit or when's your next song? And for the album to not even be like, it fell on deaf ears. I'm not gonna lie. Like the only reason I heard about this album was because I thought to myself, yo, what's Polo G doing? And that's probably what this individual thought to himself too. And I'm not saying like this person's wrong or anything. He's just doing his thing. But he does a good job in the replies of his tweet in terms of how it was received, showing the general sentiment around Polo G. Because this person was a fan, and he was like, yo, because somebody was saying like, yo, nobody's listening to Polo G. He's like, come on, you're talking about like Hood Poet and these previous albums, like they didn't hit like that. So that's a good example. And then people, and by people I mean me included, have been talking about the Roddy Ricch and Navy album that's supposed to drop December 6, 2024. Yes, that's correct, not 2025. So it's been over a year and that didn't drop. But if you're Roddy Ricch and you see Polo G getting treated like this, are you even going to drop? To do what? Sell 5K and then to be clowned for selling 5K when nobody's going to listen to your project? At that point, you might as well just, might just keep dropping some singles here and there. So it's tough to be it's almost more fun to be a rapper on the come up than it is a rapper that's already established. Now, granted, a rapper on the come up, there's financial struggles, but the rappers up at the top, there's like so much pressure now, or that we're at the top at a certain point in time. And I don't have a solution for it, to be honest. I think Polo G's just got to keep coming with heat. That's all I can really think of. But I don't know how motivated he's clearly motivated, but he's got to do more than just to drop good music, which is sad that we don't have to tell anybody else that. Like, we don't got to tell a basketball player, yeah, you got to do a lot more than just play amazing basketball. But that's somewhat always been the nature of the game. It's just moved more towards the artist having power now, or people want to see the artist market their music more now than just like a label just running it, especially if you're already known. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.